Yeah, coach, I guess it was a big day for your program last week. Just what was your overall reaction to seeing three of your guys drafted?
I mean, it's great for a program when one player gets drafted, let alone when you have a lottery pick, a first round pick, and then an early second round pick, and then you add in the fact that all three were one and dones, all three players, a freshman season here. A great day for everybody. Um, Coach Smart got the opportunity to be in Dallas with the Walshes, and then obviously, my family and a bunch of support staff people were able to be in New York and Brooklyn with Nick and Anthony. So just a phenomenal day, and then really happy that Ricky Council got his two-way immediately after the draft that showed the commitment by Philly and the excitement that the Sixers have in Ricky and close to a historic day, but certainly one that was historic on this year's draft because we had the most players selected in the draft, and for all three of those guys to be freshmen really make it special.
And with them all three being one and done, and you had one with Moses Moody a couple of years ago, just how much does that help when it comes to recruiting future players? Is that something you're able to sell and really makes an impact on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Hutch. I mean, I don't think you have to sell it. I mean, you would hope that people are paying attention and organically there becomes a heightened interest in playing here because of that. So I don't think we necessarily have to sell. We've had 4 one and dones and 2 lottery picks, a first rounder, an early second rounder, and I think that we those guys got drafted because they're really talented coming into the door, and then obviously walking out as well. So happy for them, happy for their families, and certainly feel that recruits families and recruits inner circles. I mean, on that particular day, I don't know if there's a value to the university when there's a limited number of sporting events happening on that particular day. This juncture of the sporting season, Arkansas's name was really mentioned a lot. So I don't know what the ad value is for Arkansas or the Razorbacks, but I promise you there is value from a national standpoint, for sure. What that is, I don't know, but I certainly know it's pretty powerful.
Bob?
Hey, Eric, I'm sure somebody in the economics department could probably enlighten you on that or something. But
maybe our stat department,
yeah,
our internal stat crew.
okay, would do that. Hey, and you mentioned leading you and Arkansas and UCLA had the most picks, but you guys had higher picks, so you guys really stood out in the draft. As a program. And then the SEC had the most picks with 10. What are your thoughts on that, both for Arkansas and the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the SEC, it's no surprise. I know that, our conference is known for football, but I think it's become quite obvious in the last couple of years, the talent in this league, especially the players. It's not the first NBA draft that SEC has led the conferences. It's happened quite often in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. So not a surprise there with the league. And then, I think it means a lot, as I've stated, for our own guys as well. And even in state now with Nick and Moses both being 2 first round draft picks after only playing here for a year. I think it helps in a lot of areas, certainly, but not a shocker with our league. I mean, every night you play a league game, you're going against at least one NBA talent level player.
It looked like, you look at guys like Keontae George and Grady. It looked like, most of the draft was guys you played conference or non-conference. But as far as the draft goes, that was your first draft to attend. What was the experience like? What was it wearing a suit? How'd you find all that to be? And are you hoping to make that a annual deal?
It was really special. Sometimes when you get above 55 years old, there's not a lot of first that you experience. really cool to just get an invite was really, really special. To be able to experience that, and the way that the draft was set up, the two tables, the Black family and the Smith table, they were right next to each other, one in front of the other. So cool. I wanted, my wife to be there. Her and Michael, sat in the front row in the stands, and then eventually got brought down to the green room, as they try to fill the green room up with people that bought tickets in certain areas. So by the time Nick was called, Michael and Danielle were down there with me, and words can't describe just the parties that happened after the draft, and leading up to the draft, the anticipation, the nervousness of families and staff members. And so it's really cool. And yes, I do hope to be back there next year. I hope that we have another player sitting in that green room next year, and I don't have any doubt that we will.
What was it like wearing a coat and tie? You hadn't done that in 4 years, I think you said.
Yeah, I did. Danielle made me wear the tie. I kept showing her pictures of what Nick and Anthony were going to wear, and they didn't have a tie. And she said, "Well, you're not their age. You're not that cool. You're wearing a tie." Because I was very hopeful of getting away without the tie. But the good thing is, it still fit after 5 years of getting a custom suit. I was a little worried around the waistband if it would still fit, and so all good, have remained the same size, I guess.
Well, on the schedule, got released today. SEC, you guys are playing Kentucky twice, and then I guess then Georgia twice, and then the usual suspects twice. Just what's your take on the schedule and playing Kentucky home and home, second year in a row?
Yeah, I think it's good. They're both programs have incredible respect for each other. Coach Calipari, someone that I think everybody in the coaching profession has incredible respect for. He's always got talented teams that have NBA draft picks on them. And then when you go play at Kentucky, there's a special feel to it, without a doubt. When Kentucky plays road games, it's a big game for every home crowd wherever they travel. So I think it's good that we're playing them twice. And when the schedule came out, because we got it a couple days ago, and just kind of kept it internal with our own family, and my wife's extremely excited to go to Georgia, because that's where she's from, and her sister went to school, and we have not gone there very much. But I'm not. It's different than the NBA and the G League, where it's pretty balanced. I think I've been to Alabama every year that I've been here, and I think they've only been here twice. So I know it's not a balanced schedule. So I think, another first for me is getting these schedules that are, they're kind of random the way they happen.
Thanks. I got a couple more if time allows. Thanks.
Andrew Ellis?
Yeah, coach, obviously having guys drafted really helps, with recruiting. But when you talk to guys, whether it's around the NBA or just around college basketball nationally, how much do you feel that perception around your program changing?
Well, I do think that it's, changing. Obviously, I have a lot of friends on the West Coast. I think that right now, Arkansas is, really heavily talked about in the college basketball landscape. Part of it's NCAA tournament runs, part of it's guys going to the NBA, being a part of the draft. I think there's a lot of reasons. We're sold out. There's a lot of interest in the program when you look at game slots that we have from a television standpoint. I think nationally, we're in a really good spot when you talk to agents and you talk to people in our own industry. Obviously, over the last month, the phones have I mean, we've gotten a lot of calls about our own guys. When you have, 4 players that are all potential draft picks, that's a lot of phone conversations and dialogue. And then other people in the NBA might want to ask about other players in your league, or as you guys have mentioned, we played so many guys that were draft picks that I'm looking forward to some downtime on my phone, the way it's been the last, really 30 days.
And when you look at what the 3 draft picks accomplished at Arkansas, it's not like they were putting up the gaudiest numbers or anything, but really excelled in their roles. Just moving forward, how do you think that helps sell like that buy-in factor to your incoming players of, hey, you don't need to come in and score 25 a game. You can just excel in your role and the success you can have.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, as you talk to your own current team, and I mean, the NBA people they're really smart. I mean, they're really smart. They evaluate a whole bunch of different things, and if you play the right way, if you play to win, and if you're in a winning program, and obviously anybody that plays at Arkansas is going to, I don't think anybody's worried about any of the Razorback players that go to the next level. They're not worried about, can they play in front of 20,000 people? Well, they've been doing that. The crowds that we generate when we go on the road now are much different than they were 4 years ago. We draw a lot of people when we go on the road. So, our players are used to playing in front of big crowds. They're used to playing in high pressured games like they have in the NCAA. And I think that that's a lot of the evaluation process that NBA teams are using. So it's not just about numbers. It's about a whole bunch of things factored into one decision-making process.
Kent?
Yeah, Coach, 2 of the critiques that we heard from different scouts and analysts revolved around the 3-point shooting of the players, and also they wanted to see them play with more spacing. Can you kind of speak on those points, and do you internalize that and have it factor into preparation for next year?
Well, like I said, we had more players drafted than anybody, so I don't want to get too far away from what we've done. I'm not sure where that critique or criticism is coming from. It's not coming from any of the general managers that I talked to that selected any of our guys. I certainly feel like we have not been a great 3-point shooting team, but we have been a great loose ball getting team, and we've been a great defensive team. It's really hard to statistically put up numbers on both sides of the ball. There's very few teams in college basketball that are great defensive teams and great offensive teams. And then our offensive spacing, we had no idea that we were going to have a significant injury. In my opinion, Brazil was the best stretch forward that there was in basketball. We didn't have any spacing issues in Hawaii when we were healthy, and we still didn't have Nick there. So, any spacing issues, when you have 2 significant scorers that are out for a significant amount of time, I think it would affect anybody, just like if an NBA team loses a shooting stretch 4 to a ACL injury, there's probably going to be some spacing issues, even on an NBA team. So, again, I think that the style of play is no zone defense. The style of play is playing with great pace. The style of play is running NBA quick hitting sets with low volume of continuity offense that eats up a college shot clock. So I think the NBA people are very intrigued with our style of play, and our commitment to try to mirror what NBA teams do.
Coach, are you able to share anything as far as feedback that Devo got back to kind of refine going into this year to get ready for next year's draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that for us that we, even our guys that leave. I mean, we called at least 2 people from every organization that a player works out with, and then if our guys don't work out with somebody, it's certainly important for us to take notes and develop a little book for our guys. You know, in Devo's situation, I think that, you know, he's, you know, trending in the right direction. You look at his 3-point shooting last year, his percentage, and he's made drastic improvements from three. You know, came in as an elite dribble driver, you know, and has now evolved into one of the best 3-point percentage shooters and volume 3-point shooters in our league. So I think there's been incredible growth with Devo in an area that is important for him at the next level. I think everybody understands that Devontae is as good a defender as there is in college basketball. Rebounds his positions, got great versatilities. He's played anywhere from the 1 to the 4 for us. So certainly I think that area of 3-point shooting, he addressed it last year, and now the key will be to have consistency and try to improve on some really good numbers from three that he had last year.
So, Coach, in conference play, I was looking at the numbers this morning. Devo took a big jump up in conference play with 3-point shooting, while some of the other guys fell back. What was he doing differently? What allowed him to make that jump when the other guys struggled once we got to play a little bit?
Age. I mean, for freshmen, you know, in the NBA, there's, you know, some guys hit a little bit of a wall. You know, when you get into conference play, you're playing against longer guys, more athletic guys. The season's a little bit longer than normal. The grind's a little bit longer than normal. You know, I think that Devo's got a veteran mentality where, you know, he kind of paced himself in the right way, very similar to the way that we want to try to pace a team, that you're hitting your stride towards March. And, you know, the way that he played in conference, shooting the ball, and then the way that he played in the NCAA tournament, especially against Kansas, is, you know, is the way that you want to play as an individual and then also as a team. You know, and he's a guy that can kind of create his own three off the bounce. And I think that really helped him as well, you know, elevate his 3-point percentage as league play happened.
Jonathan?
Coach, we saw a lot of emotion from Nick when he got drafted. Just being there in New York with him, just what were maybe some of the conversations you had with him afterwards about not letting that fall to 27 kind of impact his transition to the league? And then what do you think about just the situation he's stepping into in Charlotte?
I think to answer the second part, he's stepping into a great situation. Mitch Kupchak and I had a couple different conversations, and we've texted since the draft has happened. Buzz Peterson, who's an executive, we talked actually probably not long after they picked him on draft night. We talked on the phone. Coach Steve Clifford and I, Friday morning after the draft, Coach Clifford and I had a long extended conversation. And then Friday afternoon, Rex Walters, who's an assistant coach with Charlotte, we had a very long conversation, and Rex worked with me with, you know, at the University of Nevada. So a lot of people that we're very close with, even their equipment manager was with me when we were in Orlando with the Magic together. So a lot of conversations have happened. They're overly excited about Nick, and with all the incoming NBA rookies, they're all on a level playing field from here on out as far as rotation, playing time. Like, now you got to go earn it. And I think Nick is highly motivated to one, start practice for Summer League, and then two, to play Summer League basketball, and then get ready for vet camp. So it doesn't really matter what happened Thursday night moving forward. I mean, it's you know, you get married, wedding night's awesome, but then how do you deal with your marriage going forward, you know? So draft night, it's like getting married, you know, it's wedding night, everything's, you know, happens, and now, you know, what are you going to do with the situation you're in? So I think Nick's excited. I think he's in a great spot. You know, I've texted with Cody Martin let him know to help show Nick some NBA ropes. And but I think Nick's excited. I really do.
And then for AB and Walsh, just what did Orlando and Boston like about them, and what do you think about those situations?
A great situation for Anthony for sure. You know, I mean, I've gone back and forth with Jamal Mosley, their head coach, via text. John Hammonds and Jeff Weltman spent some time here. I remember mid-season, probably maybe almost a two to 2.5 hour conversation with them face to face with the office door shut, going through some stuff that they had questions about. So really excited for him. I mean, he's in a great spot. Joel Glass, the PR guy, and I have gone back and forth, and Trish, who's involved with their PR, was, a lot of people when I was with Orlando, believe it or not, it's amazing. Rodney Powell, who was the equipment manager when I was there, still there. Really, it's unbelievable the connections with those two spots that our guys were taken in the first round, with how many people I've worked with. Alex Martins, their president, was with Orlando when I was there. Jeff Weltman moved into my apartment in Los Angeles when I left the Clippers. He came and actually took my job when I went to the old CBA. So a lot of conversations with a lot of people in Orlando, and it's a great spot. So it's a family organization. Culture is very, very important to the Orlando Magic. He's in a great spot for sure, and I think his mom, Jennifer's extremely excited after she got to meet everybody there the other day on Friday for their press day. And then I think with Jordan, I talked to Austin Ainge this morning, and talked to Brad Stevens yesterday. I think that Boston is extremely excited about the upside that Jordan has from when you look at the long range lens that they're looking for. So I think that all three guys in a really, really good spot. And then even Ricky Council, I went back and forth with Nick Nurse today, Philly's head coach, just about, strengths of Ricky as well. So happy for all four of these guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Hutch, follow up.
Yeah, Coach, I'm just curious how Brazil's doing with his rehab, and just kind of what's his potential if he can have a full year of staying healthy.
Well, if he would have stayed healthy, I think he would have been in the green room, to be honest with you. It was a devastating injury for him and our team. Certainly he's got an incredible future ahead of him. Rehab is going great. I don't like to use the term, way ahead of schedule, because with us, the schedule is going to stay the same no matter what. The strength, the testing, he's in a great spot, but we're not going to rush him back. We are going to get him ready to play in November, and that's all we're focused on. But I will tell you, he did run the mile with our team, and he beat some guys. He made his time the very first time he ran the mile. And I think if a head coach is telling you that he ran the mile and beat some players and made his time the first time, that's a really, really good sign.
Bob. Eric, I hope you left that apartment in good shape for Jeff and got your security deposit back. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I remember it good.
Yeah. Okay. And then, you touching on the guys who were drafted, obviously Anthony and Nick, they're going to teams that need help. They missed playoffs by quite a bit. Whereas, Jordan and Ricky are going to playoff contenders, championship contenders. Kind of how do you see their impact being, Anthony and Nick with teams that need more help, and then maybe the other guys going to teams that are already pretty set, but maybe need some guys to fill roles for them?
Yeah, I think with Ricky and Jordan, they're going to spend some time in the G League. That's the nature of one, where Jordan was drafted, and two, where Boston's organization is. And and then hopefully he'll get, a lot of time as well with the parent Celtic team, and to be able to be around their veterans and learn. And but certainly, when you go to a playoff team, your role that you're going to get is a little bit different than maybe a role of a non-playoff team. I think we've seen that with Moses Moody, that you go to a team that plays at a high level, like Golden State, like Boston will again this upcoming season, like Philadelphia will with Ricky. You're gonna probably end up spending time both with the parent team and the minor league team. And then when you get minutes down there, you got to have a great approach mentally to try to go down there and get better. And then when you're back with the main team, you gotta blend in the locker room, and when your number's called upon, just as Moses Moody's done an incredible job, when your number's called upon, go out there and produce. And then I think with Nick and Anthony, I mean, all these guys will get a great opportunity in summer league. That's your very first step out of the gate. But I think that, where those guys are picked, they're going to get an opportunity to play. Their teams need them to go out and produce. And I think both players will approach it with great maturity and understand that rookie year is not easy on any player, regardless of where you're drafted. And you just got to get better every day. And there's going to be a lot of learning lessons for all four guys for sure this first season.
The team you're practicing with right now, or doing workouts with, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you can comment on loss, the transfer from Memphis. If you can, great. If you can't, if it's not official, I understand. But I just wondering how are workouts going? And you've obviously got a lot of new guys, but you got a lot of older guys too.
Yeah, I can tell you, conditioning wise, best team I've had in 8 years of coaching college basketball. Now, again, I mean, not that the mile time, we do the mile times for a reason. It's one, to find out where we are. Conditioning, it's a mental toughness test as well. Everybody passed within the first or second run. That has not been the case in the past. We got one player that still has to pass, but he's had a slight groin hamstring thing, and we don't want to rush that. But I've never had a team do it in 2 tries, and every single guy passed. So great from a conditioning standpoint. We've added a tremendous amount of things from an offensive standpoint. We're running some of the offense that Milwaukee Bucks ran 2 years ago. Their 5-out spread offense. We're a veteran team that has a very mature approach to practice and individual skill work. So have no idea how the season's going to unfold, but it's a group that that's very mature and really comes in with a mindset to try to get better. So we've had great practices, we really have, and they've had great skill works as well.
Can you reveal what mile time that Trevin ran?
I don't have it in front of me, but like I said, I mean, I'll tweet it out at some point, Bob. I'm just waiting on one other guy. I don't have any paperwork in front of me on what he ran it in.
Okay. Can you tell us who the guy is that has the groin issue that hadn't made it yet, or is that a state secret?
It's not a big secret, but there's no use. I'm going to let him pass his mile, and then we'll get all those mile times out.
Okay. So sounds good. Thanks.
All right, Coach. Thanks. Appreciate your time.
Hey, season ticket renewal deadline Friday, June 30th. Sell out, bud. Let's go.